Welcome to Limit Up, the weekly capital market podcast. My name is Don Collins. I'm a chartered accountant and business advisor of 30 years and a partner at Findex, a leading financial advisory and accounting services firm based in Australia and New Zealand. I'm here with Ian Reynolds, trader and investor, former bank foreign exchange market maker, early investor in Bitcoin and tech founder. Ian, thanks for coming.
Hi, John.
Making money in stressed capital market situations is tough. A typical investment portfolio will often fail. The world is moving into really challenging times as the US tries to address its $38 trillion in debt, contradictory fiscal and monetary policy, internal conflict, and numerous wars. And the rest of the world starts to consider a new global reserve currency, multipolar world, and aging demographics. So how can we understand what's going on in geopolitics and macroeconomics? Luckily, Ian is here today from Simberi Capital, and Ian's going to talk to us about his latest press release, Silver Smashed as Trump chooses next Fed chair. Ian, over to you for more detail.
Thank you, Don. Good bit of clickbait, that title, didn't you think?
It is very much so.
But I think that it's actually justified this time, and I'll show you why when I share my screen.
Wonderful.
So on Friday, pretty much, well, after Australian time, of course, but we had a real smash up in precious metals. So let's go to silver first. So this is a 40% drawdown top to bottom on Friday afternoon in New York as the exchange that transacts silver transactions in futures and other derivatives firstly raised their margins. That meant some of the more leveraged speculators were forced to get out.
Yep.
Then accidentally, on purpose, forgot to turn the limit breakers on, whereas it's meant to only go down 10% before trading stops, right. Which has caught the market on the hop. It took down a gold fund in China, apparently. So all of those investors, it's billions and billions of dollars worth, are left without being able to get out at all. And it was all in a session that pretty much had lots of other black swans flying around, like, for example, the new Fed nomination coming out. President Xi talking about the renminbi as a possible future foreign exchange, global foreign exchange entity, and lots of other things as well. And it just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time and went down 40%. As you can see, it's gone down even further today. So we're up down 7.5% in gold and 11% in silver today. So we've gone from $120 up here to where it is now, $72 in, just about 24 hours trading time. $15 trillion wiped out of precious metals valuation in 24 hours.
When we talk about our previous podcasts, gold and silver were on a very strong run. Yep. There was very good dynamics around them, fundamentals. What is the cause of this sort of crash?
Exactly what I said. So the gold and silver were going parabolic, as you can see from the days before this run up. And whereas I suspect the authorities don't mind if gold goes up, because actually if gold goes up, everyone wins. Even Trump wants gold to go up because there's more in Fort Knox, or more value in Fort Knox, and he wants a weaker dollar, and that confirms a weaker dollar. But no one wants silver to go parabolic because it's used in all those devices, is on both America and China's rare minerals list, and has gone from, where it's back now was back where it was on the 8th of Jan. So all we've done is erase 3 weeks of price action, but it was a good 3 weeks of price action.
And so is this a correction and silver will remain at that level? Do you see it going back up?
Well, it's much more than a correction in terms of the way that the market likes to describe. This is a crash. Um, but the fundamentals are that there's a massive shortage of silver, and it's currently trading. The last I saw was $135 in Shanghai. So it's a big disconnect between paper silver and physical silver. So you can trade these derivative contracts and you can invent as many as you like, but there's only so much physical silver that can be bought for the purpose of putting into phones, solar panels, cars, etc.
And
So
then the future for gold, as you said, is it of a different view given it has a different value?
yeah, so gold is a monetary metal. Most reserves have at least 25% of your country's reserves in gold, um, and it's there because it's a non-sovereign asset.
Yep,
Uh, you might have some pounds in your Australian central bank's coffers, but if the pound goes to nothing, it's a problem. But gold isn't going to go to nothing, or certainly
yep.
hasn't done for 5,000 years. So it has a lot of value and is non-sovereign. So gold is now off, let's have a quick look, see how much it is off. So gold is off, sorry, it's about 18%,
Right.
which is a lot, but it's nowhere
Yeah,
near as much as silver. So
yeah,
gold is on a correction, whereas silver is in a crash. And the background with gold is that central banks have been buying it for the last 5 years. Purpose, good chance the next global reserve currency is going to be backed by gold. And if the US is running a weak dollar policy, you don't want to hold any dollars.
no,
And it's non-sovereign. So many people want to hold it because it takes it away from any sovereign risk, act of war, that sort of thing.
yep, yep. And as a result of those crashes, um, has there been a rush to other investment? So equities, cryptocurrencies, how have they gone through this crash as well?
Let's have a quick look. So let's have a look at Bitcoin, and we'll take the squiggles off. So it's gone down hard. So it's gone down really from 90-ish to 75 in the last week. So it's looking pretty bad. Ethereum the same. So with, for example, the Nasdaq here, just let me turn off that stuff. We have only Friday here. We don't have today, obviously, because it's not open yet. But we can look at what the ASX here in Australia has done today, and it had a good day on Friday because obviously it closed before the big smash up, and then it's been down, almost 1% today.
Yeah,
So not so much in equities. At the same time, we had Trump coming out with his nomination for Fed chair, which he has taken forever to come up with. And he kind of
yes,
surprised a lot of people that it was Kevin Walsh. So Walsh has been in the picture totally for a long time, but he kind of hasn't been mentioned recently and is probably the most hawkish chair and the one that out of the running least likely to do what Trump wants. So it's a big surprise that he's come on board. He's also been pretty vocal about wanting to wind down the Fed's balance sheet, which is something like $7 trillion at the moment of US securities on there. That doesn't really work in with what Trump wants to do, but the market has taken that as a positive news for
yes.
financial markets. And with that, you can see that this is dollar yen, but if we look at the Dixie, which is a future on the basket of US currency, US currency against other currencies, predominantly the euro, you can see that on Friday it had a good day and it's gone up a little bit this morning. So
So this is a good appointment?
so it has been a little bit of a safe haven, shall we say?
Yep. So this has been a good appointment or?
Well, We'll have to see because he doesn't start till May to start with, because Powell's got till May to leave. But the market likes it because he used to work with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and knows financial markets very well. So traders think it's a good option. Whether Trump will regret that option, I don't know. We'll find out in due course.
We will. We always will. And the other thing that occurred last week, and it's more geopolitical, Epstein documents were released. Now, ordinarily, my question is, how does this impact financial markets, and why is that seen to be as something to be aware of?
Well, what got released on Friday, there's millions of files, so people are still going through it. But pretty much it was very graphic and it named names, and it was very widespread. So when people outside of America look at it, they realize what a swamp America is. I say that as a European, of course. And that Epstein was really the fixer for everything inside the deep state. Everything that is bad about America and has been bad about America since World War II, CIA, FBI, all this shenanigans, starting wars, deposing presidents, all that sort of stuff. And, almost everyone is implicated, as we were talking earlier, if not by their own fault, because everyone gets tarred with the same brush, but just by being in there is pretty bad. I'm glad I wasn't in there because it would have been terrible going home tonight. But it's really one more piece of the puzzle that says, why on earth are we hanging on to the US dollar when the corruption is rife? The $38 trillion in debt. And currently, there's this massive divide between the Fed, the central bank, and the Treasury. Why would anybody invest in a US dollar bond, for example?
Which, on that comment, the whole point with G coming out about the RMB, is that seen to be also because of, sentiment and views about that?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, the timing, because I think he must have rushed that press release out, right? The renminbi is no way it can be what the dollar is, because the dollar is in every bank, every trading floor, every system in the world. So the renminbi could be part of a BRIC system in due course. But, it took 30 years of planning to get the old financial system up and running, so that dollars could flow everywhere they were needed instantly, which was a great thing sometime.
Yep.
And you can't just invent this on the fly. But quite clearly,
no.
Why wouldn't he say that?
Yeah, it's obviously politically driven more than anything else at the end of the day.
Yep.
So that's a really good release you've got there. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we moved on to what's coming up?
Only that completely unnoticed, a US bank went bust on Friday as well. A small one in Chicago, but nevertheless, normally when one bank goes bust, there are others queuing up to go bust as well.
Because they all have the same problem, effectively.
Yeah, so these regional banks, they're all, if you look at, I was looking at this particular one, and it's all commercial real estate. And you just know that there's so many, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of US banks. So many of them, their only activity is commercial real estate. And they're all in the same place. So typically when one goes bust, the ones that are insolvent will volunteer to go into bankruptcy because they can do so without being the first one to do it.
Yeah. Hopefully, as you said, there's not too many more on the horizon.
Maybe a good clear out would be a good thing.
True. So this week coming up?
Yeah, so we've got some more central banks. In Australia, the RBA coming out tomorrow. What do you think they're going to do, Don?
Well, the headline seems to suggest an increase. in interest rates?
Yeah, I can't believe they will, but they should.
Yes, I wondered the same as well, on that point.
They've been too late to the party so many times since COVID. Um, anyway, we'll see. And on Thursday, there's Bank of England and the European Central Bank.
And
Uh,
the expectations out of those?
Nothing, no change.
Yep.
Maybe the Bank of England can cut. Um, Short end rates, apart from in America, are largely irrelevant because they're very low, and
Yep.
just putting them a little bit lower doesn't really matter.
Yep.
In America, it does matter because they've got the interest on $38 trillion of debt to refinance.
Yes, exactly.
And on Friday, US non-farm payroll expected up 70,000, which would be a very weak number in
Right.
stark juxtaposition to the roaring economy that Mr. Trump thinks the US has.
Yes, or he continually beats the drum on.
Yep. And most of the GDP is high, but it's driven by AI capex spending.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you can tell better than me, Don, about all of the circular financial arrangements that seem to be going on. But the money flow is going around in a circle and being counted 10 times.
Yes, exactly. Therefore,
And
not delivering what it should be doing.
yeah, and sooner or later, the music stops.
Absolutely does. Well, we look forward to those updates for next week as well, and next week's topic as well. So thanks again today, Ian, for coming along, and thanks for those listening online as well.
Thanks for having me, Don. See you next week.
I'll see you next week.
Cheers.